Dina, and this is Team Dina, by the way. I have been training under Dina for like a million, trillion, billion years. I want to know how many of you guys, can you guys stand up if you know Dina? Wow, that is so amazing. So, thank you all. You can give yourselves a round of applause. I'm going to tell you just a few things about Dina. She has been a therapist for 30 years. 30 years. She has worked with so many different populations you may or may not know of. She's worked with the prisoners. She's worked with the Department of Defense. She's worked with the Native Americans. And she's worked with lawyers, as well as her regular clients, because she has a private practice. She is also the owner and director of the Tucson Center for Action Methods. Dina made me get involved with the ASGPP. She made me be on the board. She made me co-chair. She made me do all this because she did it all. She was incredibly active with this organization. She was on the awards chair for 5 years. She was the mistress of ceremony. That is a great role for her. She was also really active on the American Board of Examiners. She was on that for over 9 years, and she co-chaired it for a year. And back in the day, how many of you guys have heard of St. Elizabeth's? Raise your hand. I have heard so many things about St. Elizabeth's, and that is where Dina began her journey into psychodrama.
And she got lots of awards. The J.L. Moreno Alumni Award, Outstanding Psychodramatist, St. Elizabeth's Hospital, 1995.
In 2004, she won the ASGPP Collaborators Award with Milton Hawkins.
Yeah.
And in 2014, Dina received the J.L. Moreno Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's a lot of awards.
Okay, but then she didn't even stop there. She got involved with the International Board, where she is highly involved, which is incredible. She trained in over 20 countries for 23 years, such as
Brazil, Sweden, England,
Croatia.
Lithuania. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Portugal. Anyone else?
Canada.
Canada. Awesome.
and
Texas.
And it was rumored in several neighboring planets. As Moreno instructed, that psychodrama has as its object nothing less than the whole world, the healing of all mankind.
All mankind.
Everyone.
All mankind. All womankind.
All humankind.
Every kind.
All animal kind.
And in all of that, Dina just, yes, thank you, Dina, did not stop there. She was and is an elected member of the International Association for Group Psychotherapy Board, where she is co-chair of membership and interim chair of the psychodrama section, about which she's extremely passionate.
the other thing Dina has tried to teach me about over the many thousands of years that I've been working with her is about our ancestors. She's incredibly passionate about the history of psychodrama, and she's here today because she has been wanting to do this for years. She's been wanting to teach everybody about our ancestors and honor them. So I want to present to you now, Dena Baumgartner.
Those are my students, guys. Thank you. Woo! I'm here in honor of my ancestors, but thank you. I am an elder. I will take that gladly. I turned 70 a couple weeks ago, and I take that on. It's, when you get that card, when you get to that age, it's really like, wow. So, I just, for those of you on the way there. And for the ones that have been there and passing. All right, I am humbled and honored to be here today because in the last few years we've lost some wonderful people in our society, and I think that it's so important to be able to honor them. The title that I put for today was Spirituality and Psychodrama, and Moreno believed in the spirit. And we have a lot of trainers out there and students. I just need to know from what I'm going to do, how many people are here for the first time, have not really studied psychodrama at all? Can I just have, okay.
Welcome.
Welcome. Someone said they would like you to stand up. We're really embarrassed. Stand up. Stand up if you are. Because as we get older, Yvonne, we need you coming up. And there are trainers in this room that will be glad to help you. So if I raise questions today, I'm not here to go into depth on training, but I am here to maybe, for the new people, get your little, yes, that bite we call it, the psychodrama bite. So what I'm going to do to start off with is that I would like to throw up some quotes of Moreno about spirituality. And there's a lot of controversy sometimes because Moreno talks about the Godhead. And we're all gods in our creativity and our spontaneity. Spontaneity and creativity. Each person is no longer to be viewed as a recreator of the past passive receptacles of life experience or environment. Each of us are creators, possessing the energy to produce a new response to an old situation. I try to give them the courage to dream again. I teach the people to play God. That is out of Volume 1. None of my inspirations and pronouncements, however, have been more severely criticized, misunderstood, and ridiculed than the idea that I proclaim myself as God, as the father of my mother and father, or my ancestors of everything which lives. But it is the I that matters. It is the I which was provocative, and new. And it is the I God with whom we are all connected. It is the I which becomes the we. Moreno, Volume 3. It is no longer the master, the great priest, or the great therapist who embodies God. The image of God can take form and embodiment through every man, the epileptic, the schizophrenic, the prostitute, the poor, and the rejected. They all can, at any time, step upon the stage when the moment of inspiration comes and give their version of the meaning which the universe has for them. Volume 3. So the Godhead is a big part of the spirituality in psychodrama. Yes, we have a spirituality. It's the soul. It's the soul in each one of you. And through psychodrama, we hope to raise that you become your true calling. Because everyone in here, as Moreno would say, you're a genius. You're a genius. Look at the person next to you. Look at the person in the workshops. You're all geniuses. Okay? Different levels maybe, but you're all geniuses. So, it is important because that's what we're trying to do to better all of mankind, is to spread that love, is just to make people aware of their possibilities. That's why we do this work. It's to help people go into a new role, to take on that different place in life from the old messages they've heard along the way. In my workshop yesterday, I had people be caterpillars, and then they became in a cocoon, and then they got to be butterflies. But we have to have that struggle in our cocoon of life to really come out of the cocoon. Okay. Dada. Oh, that's my bit on spirituality in the depth, but I think you have it. And if not, we have great trainers out there to talk about it. Now, I spent many hours and many bubble baths figuring this whole workshop out, because it's really a trip to be up here from all of you, I'm telling you. As my colleagues and people I love, I don't want to let you down. So, one of the things I thought of, many things, but we are all a family. Once you step into psychodrama, as my wonderful student said, I'm kind of everywhere, but on the international set in the United States, I think there's no place I can go that I don't have a free house to stay in. That's why you want to do psychodrama. You're going to have a free house somewhere to stay in when you travel. So, but the spirit's there. Once you're involved in the psychodrama, we know more about people in our training groups than their families will ever know. Because our hearts and our support is there. That's why we all become brothers and sisters, you know? Because we all in that sharing phase of our lives we identify. So, this is the Moreno family reunion, by the way. And that's what I'm labeling it. And in family reunions, I'm giving you a breakdown of what I'm going to do. In the family reunion, there's a few things that happen. You have to look at old pictures. You have to look at family videos. These are videos I took, 89, 91, and 96. So some of you people out there, get ready to see yourself different. And students out there under these people, get ready to see they were really young one time. And had more hair. So this is kind of what I'm looking at in the family reunion. But the part that touched me and touches me is the election Day of the Dead, the All Souls procession. Because you're in the Southwest. I'm an Illinois native, but I've been here since the 70s. And one of the things that we really promote in Tucson, I'm plugging Tucson right now, but is the All Souls Procession Weekend. I was blessed back in, I think, 1998 to be asked by a dear friend, Margaret Keyes. Some of you know her. She was in Psychodrama. She's a union analyst from San Francisco. And I got to go with her to Oaxaca, Mexico. And there were union analysts from Brazil, Germany, Mexico, and the United States. And we all studied the Day of the Dead for 2 weeks, intensely. And I really, really found the beauty in it because it's about celebrating life. When I was 9, I had a brother that died, and we couldn't talk about it. We weren't allowed to talk about it. It was just done. Mom got depressed. And, you know, death wasn't talked about. And so in the States, I mean, things are changing a little bit, but I really got into this because it's about celebrating. What the families do, for those of you who don't know, let me say this first. According to the Day of the Dead and its rituals, there's 3 deaths in life. 3 deaths. The first, when your body no longer functions, your heart stops. Second is when you are no longer here, buried, ashes, put on a still, the birds eat you, whatever. You're no longer here in a body form. The third and final death is when your name is no longer mentioned. And that is why we're honoring the ancestors. Why I honor the ancestors. Because that's a way that they're still alive. And so in the Day of the Dead, we have one of the largest parades. It will be November 6, 2016 in Tucson this coming year. But people, there's no alcohol, by the way, and over 100,000 people come. And they honor their lost ones. It could be their pet, it could be anything, but they dress. It's about celebrating life. And there's a humor with it. Because you'll see some of the figures for the Day of the Dead, they're like doing work things and they're all skeletons. But this is, and people really, here's someone with their dog, parents. Here you go. This is the parade. And it is grown and grown. And how it started was with a woman who was an artist, and her father died. And she wanted to honor him. So she made a giant cocoon and had 16 performing artists in it. And she would open it and they would get out and dance. And that parade has grown and grown and grown till it's like this. And there's a giant cauldron that is pulled through the streets. And people can drop notes in to the deceased, messages to be sent. And that's carried through. And then you have the fire dancers. They have a huge crane that lifts it up, and the fire dancers are dancing. And it's burned. So your messages can be taken up. It's a holiday of remembrance. It's usually November 1st and 2nd. Tucson usually presents it the week after. They have a Children's Day and then the adult. And it's a really healing process for people to walk after they've lost someone and be able to tell the stories. It's about telling the stories. And in Mexico, I want to thank Marlo and her crew. If you have not gone, they have an ancestors room right across from Crescent A, is that Crescent A? Right across in the corner. She set up a Day of the Dead table, and one of the things that that they do is the whole family gathers. So we're all here today, and they usually bring the food of the deceased or what they drink, and they will go out to the cemetery and they clean the cemetery, and they stay up all night. And they're sitting around and say, that's great uncle, blah, 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 and he, blah, blah, blah. And they tell the story of everyone in the family. And this is a celebration. And then they go home and eat all the food. But, it is about keeping people alive and honoring them. And like Moreno, I'm honoring today, and in the sense that he did a lot of action methods that everybody else is getting credit for, as your trainers and people know. And so I ask you to make sure that, do your research, find out what did Moreno really do, and give him credit. His books were destroyed, things happened, and we want to give him credit for his work. Here we are, Mom and Dad. Okay, everybody's mom and dad. Serta. Moreno. Oh, yes, I forgot. When you're at a family reunion, you get gifts. You get gifts. So I had to think about that. I couldn't make you all t-shirts. But are they for sale still? Are we selling t-shirts? Yes. You can buy a t-shirt. Where are you at? Registration. So you can have a family t-shirt from this little outing. Okay? Now the gifts I'm giving out, because I think you deserve a gift for showing up this morning. There's 2 gifts you're getting. And I'm going to tell you the ancestors that gave you these gifts. Okay? First is a button. More Moreno. And Hannah Wiener would pass these out. I never met Hannah. How many people in the room knew Hannah? Oh, wonderful. Hannah Wiener is the one that would pass out. Dale told me this story, and so I believed him. And that she handed out these buttons. So this is my gift via Hannah to all of you for coming to this family reunion. The next thing you're getting is, I call it the green card, but I was told that Alton Barber would hand these out in different colors. Pardon? Director in your pocket, it's called. Director in your pocket. That's pretty good. And it says Psychodrama Director's Guide. And on the back part, if you're having a problem, you whip it out, and then you can tell somebody what to do, okay? So he developed this in 1978. So these are and I thank my crew that's out there. Now, for those of you that would like extra buttons, because I ordered these, I'm donating them to ASGPP, and if anybody wants another button, you can pay them $1 and get a button. And so they'll make some money on this, hopefully. All right? Yeah. And that, I guess, will be at the registration desk, too. Okay. Good enough. Okay. So gifts from the ancestors. See, aren't you glad you got up this morning? Look at that. Okay. I had to give you some. Okay. I asked for some old photos, and this here, I got a little, is the Moreno stage. This is where students would stay at Beacon. Beacon, for those of you who don't know, is where Moreno was, and he did his training there. I called Mark Treadwell, who was a partner, and he's in Germany, and he's a partner of Dagus Blomqvist, who is one of the youngest people. Can't hear me? Dagus was one of the youngest people to study with Moreno, and I asked Mark, and he sent me a couple of old pictures, and this is Dagus, and I think that's Hannah, but I'm not sure. And Dagus is down here, and I believe this is Sandra Garfield. Well, that's what I was told. Okay, so a little history on that. I'm getting prepared for this, like I told you, I had all these great ideas in the bubble bath. And one of them was that since I am the intimate chair of the International Psychodrama, I sent out an email on the psychodramas, and I said, I know Moreno spread seeds, he's trained people, and they went all over. Could people from your country, because I want to honor the names, send me stuff, because I don't know everything. I got stuff from Hungary, Turkey, Spain, Yugoslavia, Austria, Finland, Portugal, England, and they're still coming in to my email. So what I did is I copied them, because I know with the time frame that we have here, I couldn't talk about it. But on the international table that's near present AFD, I just printed them out. You can go read about all the countries, the people that Moreno trade, and the seeds that went all over the world that people are training, and who their ancestors are, and what they're doing in all their countries. It's amazing. It really is, and I want you to be aware of that. Okay. This, folks, are my videos I told you about. This is 1996. No, 91? No, 1996, Pasadena, California. We got excited. And I'm going to let the video on. See, we did dance. Again, these are my home videos, so when it goes through you, okay, cool. Elaine, I think that's, call out names and see. Guy Taylor, young Allie, that girls. If you know any of these people, call out. Bill Congress. Who do I see? Lee. That's my great film. John Holzer. Oh, yeah. That's you, darling. Sandra Garfield. Jonathan Foss. I'm at an angle. If you see somebody, call out. David Swain. Elaine. You're going to be a fax of people's friends. Adam. Dorothy and Dale. I think it's Kat. Zerka.
Yep.
Adam. Margaret Keys. See people? Elise. Kate. Isn't it fun to see your trainers and wear younger? Bill. Oh, yes. Hey, Goldie's.
Where are they now?
Yeah, same.
You can tell they say, Bill back. Yeah. Oh, you're going to be in a couple years. This is the ASGPP Centennial 1989
Where?
in New York, Zerka.
Is that the
Marcia
book?
Clark.
Merlin.
Merlin. Ken Sprague, which is Marcia Clark's husband.
Yeah. Waldorf? Is this the Waldorf? Is this the Waldorf Hotel?
This is, I'm not sure which hotel. The Roosevelt Hotel.
Oh, okay.
The original program. So you got Circa,
Yeah.
Marcia Tarr,
Ken Sprague. Milton. Yeah. Yeah, isn't he cute? He's adorable.
that's my buddy. The Alton Harbor.
Ken Sprague,
Cinder.
next to Harlan.
Sandra Garfield. Sandra Garfield. She was president getting ready to have to do her talk. Oh, that's me. Dorothy Slash.
Yes. Hi, Dorothy.
Got the cow sweater on.
Oh, Dale!
Again, live filming. We partied a lot in different rooms back
This is one of those huge video cameras,
Oh,
right?
I got one big one like that. And I didn't know how to work it.
Don't worry, Dina, you're running.
And Susie Gerberson. Jonathan Moreno. It's hard to see.
Everybody's so dressed up.
Us.
Look at her.
Bill said she had a new book coming out. She had a new book coming out. Here's the new book.
I'm sure you better do the tape.
You could come on.
Peter Rowan.
Peter Rowan.
Lovely white cat.
And Dale, would you please tell us what you've learned from this man?
Well, let's see. I've learned many things from Peter. One is don't mix Jack Daniels.
Psychodramatic.
He's learned everything that he knows with water.
Peter, what have you learned from this real psychodramatic?
Moreno.
Well, Dale, I've learned the government doesn't pay you. No, the whole system concern model, critical foot model, psychodrama, trying to do psychodrama is never go along without it. It's such an underpinning. I learned that St. Elizabeth has excellent students. And I've learned that it's nice to have an even disposition. It
great role model for being a win.
This is the Federation. We had a Federation meeting. Shirley Barkley.
I'll take a few minutes and do some of our things about some of the people in Psychodrama. I know, thank you.
This is 1991.
I'll go to the door behind. Okay.
Guy Taylor.
Okay, this is happening. Hello, everybody. Well, I'm right. You know, just actually, make your card. Put it in that card, get everybody here, make a list of all cards that have a single in mind, and then we'll get into action.
She's the man who gave you the ball.
One half second. This is his house of Dina. And the students would come in and all the students would sit around. He would sit in his chair at this table. We're going to talk about
Anything you'd like to add more on?
No. Yeah, one thing. Do never enter this movement. You're going to regret it. Your identity is going to fall apart. Your Christianity or Judaism or Islam whatsoever, it falls apart. The only thing I can say, God bless that I'm still alive.
Our ancestors.
Oh, Eva.
Thank you for watching my whole video.
Oh, it's beautiful.
For those of you who don't know, it's Alton Barber that gave you the pocket.
Yeah.
And Dan Weiner. I'm moving because of time. I just want to do a shout out because I know I'm missing a lot of ancestors. So names of people in the North Sea question that ancestors or people that are not with us today. Anybody want to shout out names?
Show cowards.
Okay.
John Dalton.
Jim Sachs. Bob Soroka. I'm sorry. Oh, Jackie Soroka. My goodness. Yeah.
Gina Wyasoff.
Jim Sachs.
Oh, yeah.
John L. Miller.
Okay, that's in the Northeast. I'm going to do this quickly because, again, I'm told time. Okay.
Oh, look at the web.
Leon Fine.
Leon Fine.
Carl Hollander.
Yablonsky.
Alton Barber.
Alton Barber.
Elaine Goldman.
Carl Hollander.
Leon Fine.
Leo Fine.
Martin and Shelley Haskell.
Martin and Shelley Haskell. They
Yeah.
were classic.
Morton Dorothy.
Morton Dorothy.
Yeah.
Armand Volkas.
Thank you. Anyone else? I had Alaska in there. Where is she? I put Alaska in there. You're welcome. Okay.
David Kipper.
David Kipper.
Ron Anderson.
Ron Anderson.
Charles Bryn.
The Brent. Anyone else?
Does that include Missouri?
Huh? That includes Missouri. Gloria. She was in the picture. You just
Barbara Seaborn.
Barbara Seaborn.
Neil Pastorelli.
Liz White.
Neil Pastorelli.
Liz White.
Liz White. Joe Romance. Ann Hale. Again, people that are not here but still alive, as well as ancestors. Shirley Barkley.
Dina Marina Leffery.
Terry Preston. Shirley Goldman.
Zerka.
Shirley Gomer.
Ruth Sammy Yaya Burdell. I don't know where he's from. George Bacalini.
Mario Cosa.
Mario, yeah.
Dan Estes.
Dan Estes.
Renee Clay.
Again, shouting out the names of those that we respect, who touched us in our lives, is keeping the names alive, our ancestors alive. Because we're in Arizona, I'm honoring Elaine Goldman. We honor in a native tradition the land of the ancestors. And Tony did that very well yesterday. And I want to honor Elaine Goldman because she brought psychodrama to Arizona. And so I've asked a couple people that have trained with Elaine, and I asked someone to play someone who's not here and do it. And so I'm going to ask Tom Shramsky to please come up. Tom Shramsky trained with Elaine. And we need a microphone for you. And I don't know how to work this. Hello? Yes, please, Tom Shramsky.
In the summer of 1974, working in Prescott as a mental health therapist, I was frustrated. Frustrated with the limitations of talk therapy. I was advised to attend a workshop with a woman named Elaine Goldman, a psychodramatist at Camelback Hospital in Phoenix. I was told that the experience would blow my mind. I went. It did. At that weekend workshop, I learned that through psychodramatic action, I could deeply experience the essence of myself and of another person. Through Elaine's directing me, I was guided through a psychodramatic conversation with my father, role reversing, doubling, and seeing how the director's egoless presence could serve to create a new, meaningful, life-changing experience. I saw that Elaine was a dynamic force affecting the world, in this part of the world. From that time, my work as a therapist was never the same. Today, 40 years later, having worked as a psychodramatist, a TEP, an instructor of graduate students, a CEO, and a consultant and merger acquisition advisor, I go back to my time with Elaine. Her insistence is still with me. Her insistence for doing the exceptional, being fearless, and being the positive difference for another. This has made me very, very grateful for all that she has given to me, all that she has given to my life. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you. Two more students.
I was a student of Elaine's from 1984 or 5 until 1989, and I spent most of that time just trying to get over my anxiety and get out of my way. The thing that Elaine gave to me was her very concrete, streamlined style, because we worked in a psychiatric hospital with all levels of patients, and she just streamlined very much what Moreno had already given her, and she had learned from Moreno. Her streamlined style included her way of introducing auxiliaries, her way of scene setting, and a variety of other things. And that is still with me today. It's how I do what I do with the varieties of populations that I work with. And I thank her for that. I remember her for that. I remember her twinkling blue eyes. And one of the things I remember the most is when she was upset with me for being afraid, mainly that's what it was, and not doing what I was supposed to do is, I am only trying to make you the best psychodramatist you can be! And I'd be like, wow. But I think she did that. And it took a long time for her to convince me that she did that. And this is Deb G. Young.
Sorry. Yeah.
And I'm Maureen McCormick, and I trained at the same time. Debbie and I trained together, and we also worked at a psychiatric hospital with Elaine for 10 years. Actually, Camelback had 4 hospitals, so we did psychodrama all day, every day for 10 years. And
we had 10,000 hours of supervision.
I think, isn't it, was it Matt and Malcolm Gladwell? It says, I guess we're masters.
Once you get 10,000 hours of anything,
Yeah.
the Beatles had
Us and the
10,000
Beatles,
hours.
yeah.
We were experts.
Anyway, so I love Elaine. Elaine is one of the first people I really, in my whole life, that I felt really loved by. Along with my Aunt Elaine. So we wanted to share with you just a quick gift that Elaine gave to us. So this is something she did in every single session, and I think we probably do it in every single session we do. So we'd ask you to close your eyes. This is just an abbreviated form since we are limited by time. So take a minute to just take a few deep breaths. And I want you all to think about your home. And for a moment, be in your home. Walk around the rooms of your home. And find something in your home, some object that has significance and meaning to you. Any kind of meaning. And when you found that, I'd like you to hold it or touch it. Be with it. And get a sense of what meaning it has for you. What does it represent to you, about you?
Take another deep breath, and when you're ready, come back to the room, open your eyes. And this was always the piece we then had in our back pocket of strength, of our wise self. It was usually something very wonderful.
I was also thinking when Dina was talking this morning, it really was connected to our spirituality.
Now, the elders, that's my mind. The elders speak, and I have invited the elders that are in our community that have studied with Moreno. I asked one person to represent someone who also studied with Moreno. So can I have my elders up here, please? I asked Bill to represent Carl Hollander, because he's from our area. Oops, I'm on your way.
I asked Carl what kind of a director Moreno was, and he said he was the absolute best. You could just take your hand and know what you needed to work on. And so then I looked at a picture of Moreno, and it's the one where from the side he's reaching out. You've seen that one? Yeah. So that's a good publicity shot for you. And then another thing that really impressed me, he said Moreno would come into the theater and stand in the back while you were directing. And if he thought you needed to, he would say, "Reverse roles!" And the sound would bounce off the walls, floor, ceiling, and leave you a quivering mass of jello.
I'm Meg Givnish. I was fortunate to know and train with Dr. Moreno. Just a few words. One, just so meaningful to me is when I announced to my mother at the age of 28 that I was going to Beacon, New York to study psychodrama, my mother turned white as a sheet and said, "Oh my God, you were conceived in Beacon, New York." That's about the closest to a sex talk I ever had with my mother. As it turned out, my father was a patient at Castle Point, which is a veterans hospital. He was hospitalized for tuberculosis, and my mother and brother lived there for a time. And I have to share Dr. Moreno's comment. When I shared this with Dr. Moreno, he said, "I may have known your mother." I said, "I really don't think you knew my mother." Dr. Moreno. So the other couple other things was, I remember when we were in training and Zerka was doing most of the training, but we would go down to the house and we would, as Zerka would say, sit at the feet of the master, and Moreno would impart all kinds of marvelous things. One I remember is that we're co-creators of our existence, and a lot of things that were so totally new to this graduate of 16 years of Catholic education, and so I don't remember a lot of specifics, but I do remember the honor of being asked to come down to the house with our group that was there in Beacon at the time, and I celebrated my 30th birthday at the house, which was such an honor. And the other thing I just did write a couple names. I also was able to play in a psychodrama, the girlfriend of Jonathan Moreno, I don't remember who was directing, but Zerka was there, and she kept on telling me how to play the role of Jonathan's girlfriend. No, she was much more narcissistic than that, she would say. Whatever. However, I also remember Dr. Moreno came up for one of the Saturday night open sessions that they had at Beacon, and he was we sat together. He called me to sit with him. He held my hand throughout the entire psychodrama. And for all of you trainers, you know how hard it is to watch someone you trained doing psychodrama and not want to tell them how to do it. Well, obviously, Dr. Moreno must have had that problem in spades. And however, he would, quote unquote, whisper to me things like, "I think we should bring back the dead husband. She should have reversed roles there." And of course, the whisper was not actually a whisper. And I felt so sorry for the person up there, but I mean, I'm sitting with Dr. Moreno, so I would say to him, excuse me, I think you should be quiet. At any rate, so that was just a wonderful experience. And the last thing I would share is that some of you may know that in the 80s that I was with the Horsham Clinic, one of the founders of the Horsham Clinic, and we actually bought the Moreno Institute after Moreno died. We redid the entire marvelous place, redid the theater, wired it, etc. And it was marvelous. And I remember the first open Saturday night session that we did there after it was remodeled. And I was introducing the session and I said, we've redone this, and I said, I hope that Dr. Moreno is happy with what we did. At that point, there was a back door, and then there was a door behind the stage. At that point, the back door slammed, and the door in back of me slammed. Boom! I said, I hope Dr. Moreno is satisfied and happy with what we did. Boom! And I swear to God, I don't think I saw this, but it was like a spirit flew through the theater. And it was like dead silence after that. And so unfortunately, you all know now that Moreno Institute as it was is not there, but thank God the folks up in New York are doing a really good job with it. So anyway, thank you very much.
It's 1971 when you open your eyes. And you have arrived in the United States with me, and we are going to Walcott Avenue in Beacon, New York, World Center of Psychodrama. World Center of Psychodrama. You come in and there is the first house where is the residence of Morenos, and then a little up where the students lived, and beforehand it was a sanatorium. And there was still one patient, April, 19, she was 19, that's why I get close to her. And I'm thinking, this is the World Center of Psychodrama. Okay, and I get assigned my room. I meet Queenie. Queenie was a very important part of the institute. And at that time, Moreno couldn't really use his legs too well, so rarely he came to the theater because there were steps. But each Friday, we were invited to the master's house. On the stage, Zerka was using, at this time, it was transition time, 2 chairs. One for Moreno and one for her on this side, because she had only one hand. And it took a few years before one of the chairs got dropped, and she directed with one chair. On Friday, which I couldn't wait, because all I wanted was to see Moreno, there we are in their parlor room, and there are always cookies and drinks, and Zerka is sitting next to Moreno, and she waits on him, hands and feet, whatever. And I see Moreno's face for the first time. Huge eyes. The face like on a baby when they have the face bigger than the body. And this head of hair, sort of like Einstein-like, but all I see is a prophet, Jeremiah. Some kind of a prophet, and I hang on every word. I'm waiting for the word to come out. And on this particular occasion, I swear to God, he was reciting the words of Father. So I got his recitation. I am the father of my father, and I am the father of my mother, and I am the father. And I think, what the hell is he talking about? Today it will be gender fluidity. I have no idea. But I'm too embarrassed and ashamed to even question that wisdom. And next to me there is this Catholic priest from pretend they are not lovers, and a minister and another minister, and they all haha, haha, and I have no idea what he's talking about. But when finally my speech returns, I remember I'm asking a question. Please, if you're there in the time capsule, remind me of the question, because all I remember is the answer. He smiles at me, big eyes splash over the whole face. And asks, why do you think the psyche is not outside of the body? And it's like a Zen master hitting me with a stick. Why didn't I think? Why would I always assume the psyche is inside of the body? Wow, it's outside. And I couldn't wait for the next Friday to see where the next stick will come.
I was there from 61 until 68 when we went to Vienna for the conference. And then instead of going to Hungary, we went to Baden-Baden because the Russians went in the tanks. The microphone? Okay. So anyway, that's political history of the Balkans. And Moreno was very active in these congresses. He was very active in placing people who were then displaced from Prague. Some very famous people. But anyway, my memories of him, I came up because I was working at the Illinois State Psychiatric Institute, which was all the medical schools had a floor, and taught the residents on these floors, and I was sent to learn psychodrama from Moreno. So I had no idea. I mean, I went out there and I had my little peck and peck Madras outfit with my white gloves and, a little bracelet and little heels, and get out there and it's overall time. It wasn't hippy-dippy, but it was on the way. So the thing that just struck me, one thing that for my development, I was kind of floundering. Adeline Starr was my first teacher who informed me that, like everybody she had taught, I would never be successful. She was introduced by Dr. Moreno at a national meeting saying she was a psychodramatist from Chicago, and she got up and she said, I am the only psychodramatist in Chicago. So that was where that was at. All right. Okay, so I go up there not knowing what to experience, and there's all these crazy people doing all this stuff, and there were crazy people. It was a functioning hospital, so there were patients there. And one year when I was there, the doctor conceived the idea of having an ongoing double. So a therapist lived in the room with 8 patients and doubled them 24/7. So I did not have to do that, fortunately. Although the first night that I was there, it was very crowded, and I was put in, what do you call that? Seclusion. And so consequently, and the door was bars and could only be closed from the outside. And thank God I was young because I didn't have to go to the toilet during the night. Because they slammed me in at night and then they let me out in the morning. Because it was a hospital. The thing that I got from Moreno best was he was very intuitive, and he could see from the little work I was doing that I had a real gift for working with schizophrenics. And so he encouraged me with that. And he also encouraged me with working with a certain kind of patient. He would assign you that when you do a drama with this person, take this away from him, remove these defenses and see what he can put in place. He was very directive. On the other hand, I was a smoker. I was, 20 years old or something. I lived in Chicago, so I could sneak a weekend to come to New York, maybe every couple of months or something, and leave my children at home. And here I am, because we went down Monday and Friday nights, we drove to the city. and he said good day. And we sat in the back. There were 3 students sitting in the back, and there's this one-armed woman, and there is Doctor screaming at her all the way into the city. And I said, oh my God, if I can have a cigarette. But they were a wonderful team because she would do a lot of the training in the daytime, and we would go up every night, and he would say, well, I understand from what you're doing that this is something you can focus on, or this is something you might look into, and then he would tell us the theory that went along with it. So it was really a beautiful merging of things. So,
one of my things that I want to encourage you to do is to write. This is passing on Moreno, because Moreno believed in the cultural conserve. I had assembled during my psychiatric residency a notebook full of other people's writings, and I presented it to him. And he said, well, why don't you write your own? So I did. That's how I want to say to you, write your own.
So, a longer memory and then a short one. I started in 1971 and Beacon went to 1974, and you would go down and see Moreno in the house. He had such focus and concentration when he looked at you. He didn't look at me too much, he mostly looked at the women. When he looked at you, and you could see him looking, it was his entire being was focused on you and what you were saying. So one of the weeks that I was there was a nun there, quite an attractive nun. And she was wearing the old outfit, the nun outfit, not Catholic. So I don't know what you call that thing, but she was wearing the habit. And she said, I've been thinking, Dr. Moreno, we're not doing enough with psychodrama with migrant workers. Migrant workers need psychodrama. They're underpaid, they're exploited, they're abused, and then we make them go back home to their countries, and they come back and they live in shacks. We need to do something about these migrant workers. And he said, I don't do accents except North Dakota ones, so he said to her, well, what should we do? And she said, well, we need to do maybe a sociodrama with them. And I think we should, I don't know how we're going to get the farm owners to let us do this with them. And he said, well, think about that and come back. So the next day he came back and he said, I want you to develop a plan on how we're going to work with migrants, psychodrama with migrant workers. So she came back the next day and she told her pal, here's what we can do here, here's what we can do here, here's what we can do here. He said, what beautiful plan for working with migrant workers. He says, but I want to tell you something. I am not here to make your dreams come true. I am here to help you make your dreams come true. And the reason I talk about that is because he then talked about pathological creativity. He said so many people, and I think this field is overflowing with it, have so many wonderful ideas, but they are craters without arms. And they say, you should write. You should work in the mental hospital. You need to work with, there's not enough Spanish-speaking people. We're in the Southwest, we're the Spanish-speaking people. You work with Mexicans, you work with Nicaraguans. And what he would say to each of us is, how can I help you make your dreams come true as a society, as an organization, as a community? But don't tell me the work that I need to do to make your dreams come true. I will support you, but I won't do it for you. So that's a long story. And the short story is that, sometimes on the evening, Friday or Saturday, Moreno would be there and sometimes not, and then it would leave and Cirque would direct. And these things would start, 7:30? And they could go a long time. A very long time with Cirque. Sometimes she would do the social ad and she'd have 22 chairs out there and you'd have to speak with each person at each chair. But at some point when Cirque was directing, Moreno came through the open door from the house to the feet of the balcony and come on and say, Zerga, wrap it up. Let's go get pizza. Dina, wrap it up.
But we are family. And remember the ancestors. And the stories are here in our community. I hope at every conference we have a place that people can share and they can do that. So one of the things in my closing
Thank you.